Today's guest is from Texarkana, Texas, and went to the University of Texas in Arlington as a receiver. Then he was drafted by the Green Bay Packers in the 10th round of the 1983 draft. Played 12 years in the NFL, CFL, and World League with 8,560 yards and 30 touchdowns as a receiver. He was a burner at 4.2 340 and a 10-1 300-yard dash. Also bench 360 pounds. Now he's got his wife, his kids, his grandkids. He's a part of the NFL Alumni Association. He's worked on the but the NFLPA board, executive board. Welcome to the show, Byron B.K. Williams. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, Nick. How you doing? It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man. Like, you know, one of the fascinating things for me is, like I was just talking to you, is learning how fast you were. Like, that's interesting to me because you know people, and I always say, like there's guys now that play that probably don't know who I am, right? You played before me, and I mentioned your name around SAS a couple times. People are like, oh, I know him, right? Yeah. So it's always cool to actually look and see who these people are. And I mean, I know who you are as a person and as a man, but as an athlete, I've never seen you play. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it was fun. In fact, coming out of UTA, I only caught 26 passes, so I was mostly recruited. My speed kind of highlighted me in my path, to the NFL, CFL, and the World League. So that speed carried me into a whole different arena for us, getting me noticed, and the ability to play on the next level. So yeah, the speed was something that was a gift, and I was able to utilize that, and it worked out pretty well for me.
I'm only considered a speed demon to a turtle and a sloth, right? So other than that, I don't have none of that. So it's gonna be a great one. I'm about to have fun with this one because, one, I just enjoy what you do, right? After you finish playing, you sold tracks and football fields, turf fields. You've been a part of the PA, the NFL PA. You've been a part of the Alumni Association. Where did you find the fascination in just being a part of everything after?
Well, I think I just want to be part of something that's people love, people enjoy, and people love football. They love competition. And I love doing football camps and pointing to young kids and letting them know that dreams do come true, regardless where you come from, regardless of the circumstances. You always live for tomorrow. And I think I always wanted to be a part of that. That's why I like going to the schools and talking in assemblies, career days, and things like that, because if you can help, your next person, fulfill their dreams, and everybody do dreams. So, you want the best for our society and our kids. And that's why we do what we do. We, former athletes is a big part of giving back. And I'm so glad that I'm in that part of life to where I give back and share my life stories as well as, my experiences. And then I get other players to come in because all of us have a unique story to tell.
Yes.
And growing up in Texas is unique, it's football and sports oriented type situation. But, I think we got so much to share and so much hope for the kids.
30 years, kids camps. When did it start? And how was the first one?
It started in 1995. The first one was in my hometown. Every year I decided to go back to my hometown the week after Father's Day. And the first camp, I had 78 kids. I never forget it. And I had one of my coaches did all my T-shirts. And every time I do the T-shirts, I always put the colors of whoever won the Super Bowl. So Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl, it'll be a blue and orange shirt.
That's awesome.
Green Bay won it, it'll be a green shirt. And that kind of relates to the years that I would do my football camps. And just been going back for this year was the 26th consecutive year for me to go back. And we weren't able to do a football camp, so we did a Zoom social distancing. And we had about 80 kids on that. So we was able to go back and continue to do something 26 consecutive years in Texarkana. And it means so much. And then one year we started with we added the girls come in and do cheer camp. So here lately, the last 15 years, we do a football camp and a cheer camp for the girls. And so we kind of included, as many kids as possible between the ages of 7 to 17.
Any kids that you know about that's gone on to college and done well, or even in the pros?
Oh yeah, it's been tons of kids. LaMichael James went to my high school. He was at the camps. He went to Oregon.
Yep.
Got a kid named Trey Carson. Went to A&M. Went to Oregon first. Went to A&M. He played for Detroit here. They were running backs. We got Brandon Jones. Went to Oklahoma from my high school. I think we've been about 12 to 14 kids from my high school to go to the NFL and go to go to college that been a part of my camps. And then 2011, me and this guy named Willie Till that went to LSU, we were the first 2 athletes in my high school that started the Hall of Fame. So we actually started the Hall of Fame. We were the first to do it. And every year we go back and continue to just pour into our high school in Texarkana. So we got about 15 guys. We got a kid named Will Millerbrooks that played in Major League Baseball. He was a quarterback in high school, but he went to the major leagues. So his pictures on there. We got a kid that went to Pittsburgh named Michael Finn. But just going back to my high school, and then we just hired a new black coach at my high school, and he wanted me to come in. I go down there every year and donate shoes and things to them, as well as go and talk and keep them motivated, and do a little pep talk every now and then. Every year they ask me to come back and do something at the high school.
Is that Texarkana High?
No, it's Liberty-Eylau. It's
Liberty-Eylau. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know Liberty-Eylau. Yeah.
We are known for speed and some great athletes. So I was one of the first pioneers to come from that area.
Is Liberty-Eylau is like right outside Texarkana, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's 10 miles from downtown Texarkana, but it's kind of in the southeast corner, like going down to like Atlanta and Jefferson and Highway 59, which goes straight down to Houston.
I used to go right through Texarkana so many times in my life. Going to Southern Arkansas and Magnolia, going through Texarkana, then up Highway 82. It's only 45 minutes from Texarkana.
Right.
I hated that you drive 70 to 75 the whole way from Dallas, and then you get to Highway 82 and it's 55 speed limit. It's like, what is this?
And it's 2 lanes. It's 2 lanes.
2 lanes, 55 speed limit.
And Nick, in the last 5 years, they have put in Interstate 49 from Texarkana to Shreveport. So it only takes 45 minutes to get to Shreveport now from Texarkana.
Really?
It used to take us an hour and a half, but the speed limit is so much faster now. In fact, I went and did a fundraiser last year to Magnolia, Highway 82. When you said that, I got stopped by the police. And so on the way back, he said, "Mr. Williams, why are you going so fast?" I said, "Sir, I had a fundraiser down there, and I'm going to a funeral in Texarkana," which I was. And he says, "Just slow it down, sir. Look." So it's still some good cop down there. So when they stopped, you just tell them what's going on, and they let me go. But you said something about Highway 82. Highway 82 is a highway that I always go down to Magnolia and in that area to do some things for. So yeah, it brought back memory when you said that.
That's one of the reasons why I wore 82 is, John Taylor. My favorite receiver was Michael Irvin. My second favorite was Chris Carter. And my third was John Taylor. Right.
Right.
And people were like, why John Taylor? Like, he was on the same team as Jerry Rice. Like, why not Jerry Rice? And I just loved the way he worked. And I thought all three of them always worked the same. They were very similar. It was their hands.
Right.
John Taylor was the faster of the three.
Right.
But the other two, it was hands and making plays. Who did you look up to when you were coming up and you wanted to be a receiver? Who was the guys that it was like, that's what I want to be like?
Actually, I want to be like Drew Pearson and Lynn Swan,
Yeah, two
because of
greats.
the two number 88s. And what's so bad about it, I got both of their numbers in my phone. I talked to Lynn Swan every year when I go to the Super Bowl, to Franco Harris event. I met so many Steelers, and I know all the Cowboys. So it's just amazing how, those guys, you would go out there after you watch the game on Sunday, you go out there, you run routes and imitate them, or do what they were doing. And that's what it's all about. That's why I try to tell young people, get somebody that you can, model what you want to become. And that's who I did. Drew Pearson. In fact, Drew Pearson and I, we talk 2 or 3 times a year. We were
awesome.
together last year in Odessa, and Drew was, just a great guy. And I know those players that you just mentioned, John Taylor played at the same time I played when the Giants and the 49ers went to the playoffs back when they was winning the Super Bowl. So yeah, those great athletes.
Yeah. It's always so humbling, isn't it? To just be around others and you understand the impact that people made in your life that you didn't even know, right? You didn't have no personal connection, but just the impact that others have the ability to make in your lives is such a powerful thing. And you do that now through your camps. Can you talk to people about what you're doing right now, like delivering the presents and things to kids?
Absolutely. I started. I own football mini camp through our BW Sports, and now I got the Best Wishes foundation that I do for a lot of homeless kids. So when I was selling 400-meter tracks in turf fields, I talked to a lot of athletic directors and football coaches, and they would say, Byron, we have a space now that we didn't even have 20 years ago. And I said, what's that, coach? He said, we got a lot of homeless kids and kids that don't have a lot of lack. And so I wanted to kind of fill some of those gaps. And so I started going back to the schools, dropping off stuff, shoes, help them pay for uniforms and things like that. Because, we just had a lack in some of the family situation. It's not any fault of the kids. So we have to come in and do something. So I'm real passionate about trying to, making sure a kid don't go hungry, make sure they have their shoes, and make sure that they, have things that they need to fulfill their dreams. So,
Yeah.
that's what the Best Wishes is all about. We go in this week. I took a ton of toys to a couple of schools that I adopted here in Arlington. And then we took a lot of clothes. I got a call out the blue yesterday, and I had a truckload of clothes, and I've been taking them to schools all day today. That's what I did the first part of my day today, and I got some more to deliver before the week is out. But that's kind of what I want to do, and kind of what I need to do, and so I'm able to do those things.
You have a place where people can donate, like either toys or money?
Yeah, well, I got to get my PayPal set up on bestwishesfoundation.com. We getting ready to do some my PayPal and all that. I'm in the middle of revamping some things. My guy who runs my football mini camps said that something is wrong with the back end of my website. So I'm in the process of getting those websites taken care of, but bestwishesfoundation.com is available. I don't have no donation button on there yet, but we're eventually gonna get something going. I do have a podcast that I do every Friday, and they're getting ready to help raise some money up in New York. I'm on every Friday. I talk about the Giants and the Eagles, and the Bills and the Patriots, and as well as the Jets. Those 5 teams I'll be talking about. So we get ready to restructure some of those things that I have it to where we can get donations.
I'm gonna hook you up with Gerald Smiley, who's drafted by the Rangers. One of my good friends. He just started Chip In, and
Okay.
I'm gonna get you connected with that because it's a great new platform, chipin.co. It's a great new way to give and it incentivizes people to give through sponsorships and things like that. So we'll talk about that, and I just think it's such an amazing thing that you do because for the longest time, athletes are considered a certain way, right? But then I've been fortunate because I don't meet a lot of those athletes that people are like, oh, this athlete does this or he does that or thinks he's this, thinks he's that. Like to be in a situation to really dedicate your life to help others, right? From the
Right.
you have your kids, you got your grandkids, but to really just say, you know what, I want to help support others, and I want to. And the world is in a bad place with COVID right now, with schools getting canceled, with like you said, the homelessness now with kids and not having, and to give them those basic fundamental needs, right? When I always thought growing up and looking back, a lot of professional athletes that were around come from places that are not great, and they just get used to overcoming, and it just
Right.
becomes the next hurdle. So they're always looking for the next hurdle to overcome. So becoming
Right.
a professional athlete is no different, right?
Right.
They see
Right.
the challenge as, okay, I can meet that challenge. I can meet that challenge, and it's something they build on. Is there been anybody that stood out to you through the course of your life or career that has really overcame a lot, that just kept going, kept going, kept going, and you just like that really just amazed you on a personal level?
Yeah, and I think a lot of athletes that I encounter, I just talked to Two Dog Jones, Priest Holmes, a lot of guys that who played on a professional level. Are very private about some of the things that they do and don't want no credit for it. But that's why I like a lot of the pro football players, some of the NBA players, as well as some track stars. Michael Johnson. I got a chance to meet a lot of guys, and a lot of guys don't go around talking about what they're doing. But what I have learned is God always have placed me in front of people that I can hear their stories, and then I can go and share it with somebody else. And what that does, that just give us a little bit more momentum and confirmation on what we need to do on our assignment. So
100%.
I just, I'm real thankful for that. I got a team of guys I can call up, and they will be right. If I say I need you at this school, like Elvis Walls last year, and those guys like that, I can call and I can get them at some schools, and they share their stories. And Elvis Walls grew up here in Dallas, and he went to Grambling, signed a free agent contract with Dallas Cowboys, and his career started from there. And so when those kids hear that story, they can relate to Elvis Walls, because Elvis Walls grew right here in these communities where they know about. Yeah. And that's what I love about the platform here I have in Arlington. I'm a part of a church in South Arlington. I went to UTA, went to college here, and then the black church, the other church right here named Mount Olive Baptist Church. When I was in college, I went over to that church, and I was reminded of some of the things that I need to do in order to fulfill my dreams. And so it all seems like it's a whole package of information that you can always tap into to alert you that, hey, you got to stay on this path. You got to stay, you got to do this, you got to study, blah, 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 in order to, to be qualified. And I share those stories with kids to let them know that sometimes people ain't gonna keep giving you stuff. You got to continue to work on it and build your life around that. And if you set goals and you have things that you want to try to accomplish in life, then they are accountable. They are something that you can achieve. And so achievement is one of the things that we talk about. Believing is one of the things we talk about, and the C is commitment is one of the things you talk about. So for every letter in the alphabet, I have a word that defines that letter. Like the P is for purpose, the O is for opportunity, the M is for motivation. So those things is something that I try to tell kids to continue to build on those good things. And then one of the other things too, Nick, that I always try to tell these young people: stay away from negativity. Stay away from
100%.
people that. Yeah, if you stay away from that negativity, it will. But negativity, if you just keep hearing that, it will eat you up. I have two grandsons, seven, one for me 7, the other is 5. And I told my daughter, do not say the word no to them. No, because they've said that most young kids, my CFL, most young kids, most young kids hear the word no 3 times is more than hear yes. So if you say no, don't do that, no, you do that, and these kids hear that in the first 8 years of their life, guess what? They have so much doubt.
Yeah.
So you say yeah, you don't have to say no to them, but you put it in a way to say, hey, this is what we need to work on. This is how we're going to improve on this letter or this course. So the word no is something that these our kids hear so much, and by the time they get 10 to 12 years old, they thinking that they have a lot of doubt in their life, and they don't accomplish or achieve the things that they can accomplish.
That makes me think. First, I'll say this. I tell people all the time, especially when I talk to younger people, the only thing in life you should ever ask for is an opportunity. You should prepare for that opportunity at all times. But the only thing you should ever ask for is an opportunity. Right. And two, now that you say that about saying no, and I look at like my parents and some of the things they used to tell me, right? It was always, if it's too good to be true, it's not true. That's a lie. Because I look back at my life and achieving what I've achieved 20 years ago, that was way too good to ever think that that was even possible. Right? Like that's not true. You can't do this. And now I still feel that. Like I have to overcome that almost on a daily basis of the doubts of myself. Like even going into games sometimes I used to doubt myself. Like I need to go out here and play better. And for me to talk and to get into a vibe and a mode was almost like my cure for my doubts. Right. Because if I was talking, I wasn't thinking. Right. So it was kind of like I had to play into that.
And that's what I call small wins. Small wins is constantly catching 5 balls this game, then eight balls in this game, and having 100 yards. You know, you done had your best game, 200, 300 yards. You know, it just keep coming. Those are small wins, and next thing you know, you one of the elite. Which you are, Nick, and the things that you have accomplished just growing up here in Jasper, Texas, and just knowing that. These are the things that you had to overcome. And now that you're in this position, you come back and share. Just remember, just think in mind that all the stories that you have, all the testaments and the accomplishments that you have, those are the things that, people love about you and want to hear about, because they want to say, how are you thinking that this day when you caught those 10 passes, blah, blah, blah. And those are the things that really set true people apart. But deep down inside of us, we all have some of that. Yeah. And that's the good thing. And that's why you want to surround yourself with greatness and great people and people who have accomplished things like what you have done. And that's why I try to tell our kids, I say, you have to separate. Everybody don't need to be telling you what you want to try to accomplish, because everybody can't and don't have the same hunger and tenacity and dreams and goals and things like that. And the one thing about picking up a pen and writing your story, it's unique when you write it. Yes. It's different when you write it versus when somebody else write it. 100%. So continue to write your stories and continue to go after your dreams.
And I was just going to ask you, because if we look at, we're not too far removed from slavery, but if you look at just through the evolution of Blacks in history and what's being accomplished now, it's almost like it's a protection. Saying things don't set yourself up for failure. Right. If it's too good to be true, then it's too good. Like, what I'm saying? Don't set yourself, but I see where it comes from. Right. Did you have any of those, or are there any hurdles that you had to deal with from the perception and just looking at the course of history to where we are today and how we move forward, like you're saying, by just stop saying no? Anything is achievable now. Right. And back in my day, to the day, I still feel
some prejudice around me. I still feel some people are not in favor for supporting what I am, just because they don't judge me by the outside of where I look and my skin color. And one of the things that I try to be in tune with is my sense of the Holy Spirit, of just the things that I know. For example, when I drove from Dallas to New York one year, and I went through the state of Tennessee, and someone was telling me, never let your car get on empty, okay? I got out, I forgot what town it was in Tennessee. I got out to put some more gas in my car. I never let my car get on empty. But these guys said, the N-word to me, said, if you want to live, then you better get back in that car. And I didn't, I'm wanting to challenge people, but some told me, get in the car and go somewhere to get you some gas. So sometimes you got to have instincts or insights to order to live for the next day.
Yeah.
And so what I try to share with young people, that, people gonna be judging, everybody ain't gonna be patting you on the back, everybody, but you got to sometimes get to a point in your life to where you know who you are, that you got to survive, you got to live for the next day and the next month, the next year. So those are some insights. Those are things that I think you have to learn along the way, and those things are not in the book. There's so much you can learn in the book, and so much you can learn in real life. And so when you put that together to become whole, that's what you try to always focus on. What you want to do and what you want to accomplish.
That's that privilege, right? Like I talk about white privilege sometimes, and people say, well, I had to work hard, I had to do this, but you don't have to think about those situations. You don't think about getting gas at a certain gas station. Like, right. I'm driving through Nebraska, it's pouring down rain. I'm like, if anything happens to my car right now, I can't go knock on somebody's door in the middle. It's dark outside, it's pouring down raining. Right. I can't just go knock on somebody's door and do those things, right? Those are different things. But then let's convert this to sports. Being a white guy in sports, like a Christian McCaffrey. Right. Is there a difference?
I think if you know his story, you know that he grew up and his dad always took him, and he was always around sports. And I think he was equipped to become who he is, And I think we had that same opportunity for some of our kids, and some of the things, if you put your kids in sports camp, if you do some of the little things, I tell kids all the time, if you run a 4.8, and I can work with you in 3 weeks, I can have you running 4.6. Just because of the things that you have to do, the fast muscle twitch, the thinking. Sometimes when I was in the night before I had to perform, I would lay in the bed and close my eyes and see myself running to get the visual and the mental capacity down. And I always stop watch around 4.3, 4.35, 4.25 in that area. And not only that, then the next day I go out there and perform that.
Yeah, you believe.
So I think you have to equip your kids and your students to perform, that there are certain things that you have to prepare for. And I think, that's what he did. That's what his dad had prepared him for a time, the way he can go out and compete on a high level. And I think you have to be around that type of, situation where you can go out and compete, because, some people are limited on their skill level, but it's something else where you can improve it on a level that you can become great as.
Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying earlier. You got to find those people. Like, we had a D tackle last year that was watching film on Aaron Donald, and I was just thinking, like, that's not your skill set. Yeah. You're wasting time. Like, you would like to be able to do that.
Right.
But that's not your skill set. That'd be like me watching your film and be like, I need to go do that. Kenyon can go do it, but I can't do it. Yeah. Right. So I understood my skill set. Michael Irvin, Chris Carter, Hines Ward, right? Those guys were in my skill set of what I did. So I had to look at their game and say, you know what? This is who I play like. Or to be the best I can be, I need to play like them.
You have the same body type as the guys that you talking about.
Yeah. They were just a little taller.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where kids have to understand. You can't just have a favorite player and say, I want to be like this guy. If that doesn't fit your skill set, right? Everybody's got a box. And if you got to maximize your box to be the best you can be.
Right.
And if you're doing things outside of your skill set, then you're doing a disservice to yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, this is awesome. Let's talk
Yeah,
about tech.
and I think a lot of kids are not quite in their skill set. They sometimes they elevate themselves too quickly, and a level of maturity is part of it too. You have to have that mental part. It's two parts to it. It's a mental part and a physical part, and in between that learning curve, you have to put that time in. Like this lady asked me today, she said, how many hours did you put in when you used to work out? I said, I work out in the morning, noon at day, and then evening time, and then sometime at night I go and do some other things. So it was something that I committed myself throughout the week 5 to 10 times, a lot for us. The number of times I get my reps in, catching balls, catching low. If you catch 200 or 300 low balls, you catch those balls, awkward balls, one hand balls. I mean, you tie your hand behind the back. I'm done all kind of things to equip myself to become great, So those are the things that people don't see.
Yeah.
They just thinking that you just can come out there and naturally do those things, but no, those things got to be practiced.
And it's football is a very reactionary sport. You don't think. It's not like I think I'm going to do this. It's like you have to, and I tell people all the time, you got to prepare your body. You prepare your body to do everything it needs to do to be successful. And then when it's in the field of play, it performs. Like, absolutely. I don't think about making a one-handed catch. So that's why I always tell people one-handed catches are seen. Sometimes I think a one-handed catch is easier than a deep ball catch. Because deep ball catches, you're thinking about it. Okay, I got to catch it. I got to catch it. I got to catch it. One-handed catch is reaction.
Right.
And it's just a natural reaction will happen, and you're going to catch your fair share. And, so the skill part of it is it doesn't take a lot of skill, but you can improve it, the probability of it, by practicing in it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I never thought I wanted to go jump this guy, but, I prepared my body for it. And when it happened, it's just like commit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What the definition of commitment is no other options, right? So as long as you commit yourself to perfecting your box and being the best you can be, you just prepare yourself for it, right? Because you can't think about it. If quarterbacks can't think, I need to go here, because then they're late. You think you're late.
Yeah. And I had another person ask me, what if you got a left-handed quarterback versus a right-handed quarterback? I said, at the end of the day, I'm looking at the point of that ball, and all my football was named Brandy. That was my oldest daughter, So if I drop Brandy, then I ain't gonna eat. So it's just, whether a left-handed quarterback is throwing the ball or a right-handed quarterback. See, sometimes you have to put it in your term of what it means the most to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I did it. And you probably did it another way, but I'm just saying it's unique that we have our own little storyline, but that the test that we did for is, I call Brandy. Football name was Brandy. So you had to, I didn't want to drop my baby.
That's it. Everybody got it. Hey, everybody got it. My cousin used to tape these fingers like around here, and he would line the ball up with the white stripe.
Yeah,
that's the way he caught the ball. There's people that do it differently. I don't really look at passes above my head or below my waist. It's a feel thing, right?
Right.
So everything's a feeling to me. It's not really like visual. I don't have to really see it to do it.
Right.
But that was a skill that I perfected, and I wouldn't teach that because it's bad habits. Like Brett Favre. Brett Favre can't teach quarterbacks how to play quarterback because he did a lot of things that were bad habits to a lot of people, but he was able to get away with it because of a skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So developing these skills, let's go back to when you first started playing and when you growing up in Texas-Arlington, like growing up there, when you first started playing, what was it like?
I literally started first playing in the 4th grade, and we had these varsity football football players come down and coach us flag football, and actually my first team was the Packers, and I all they used to do is just run me on reverses, and they'll pitch me the ball, and I just take off around the end, and nobody can catch me. But that was my first experience, and then got to junior high. I was always a little receiver, but I was skinny as skin and bones. And when I got to the ninth grade, I went from 5'7" to 6'1". Wow. And that's when I just got a little bit of start smelling my own little small I guess got a little bit of momentum behind me. But actually that was really the start of my football career. And then I got in high school, my coach, he would give me $20 every 6 weeks. He said, if you make the AB honor roll, I'm gonna give you $20. So every 6 weeks I run into the gym. He give me $20. I end up graduating with a 3.8 because he said, not only do you have some athletic skills, but you're a smart kid.
Yes.
And that was one of the things, So when I graduated from high school, I was able to go to SMU, Rice, Tulane. All those schools recruited me, but they wanted me as a safety. I was a great defensive back, but I wanted to play receiver. So UTA was the oldest school that offered me the scholarship that wanted me to play receiver, and that's how I ended up at UTA as a receiver. And then when I got up here, they was in the wishbone. I didn't know, and but after my sophomore year, they changed that offense and built that offense around me, and so I was really, just really blessed to the timing of everything in my life for us, how things went when I started playing football.
There's so many similarities between us, and this is why I love doing podcasts, is because to learn this stuff, right? I probably died 5 times at UTA on that track out there in the summer because of going into my senior season in college. I trained with a guy named Nick Scott at Pioneer Track, coach over there. And my dad's like, if you're serious about this, then you'll do this training. So I did it. It was like 12 or 1 o'clock through the summer, 5 days a week with Nick Scott. And it was, 100, 105 degrees out there with all that humidity. And we used to start with a quarter and finish with a quarter at the end of the workout. And it was one of those things where I'm just like, man, I'm dying out here. Right. But it was so good for me because it was one of the first times I ever had to really just like push through something so hard. There was no other people around. I got used to training by myself. I didn't need a whole group of people to push me. I was able to start pushing myself through the training and things like that. So from the UTA, from Texas-Arlington, from the wishbone offense, which we ran in Magnolia, so many similarities,
right,
in our stories, right? What did you think about the wishbone when you got there?
Well, I grew up watching Billy Sims and them in Oklahoma, so I thought it would be a good offense to be in, be a part of, but also throw the ball a little bit more, and which we tried to do, but we didn't have the quarterbacks and so forth. So first thing I had to do was learn how to block. So to block and position myself with the DBs. So that's why I became a good blocker as well, downfield blocker. So, sometimes your worst case scenario would teach you some of the best skill sets to help you along your path. So the first thing I learned how to do, I was a good stock blocker. Back then they call it stock blocking. Yep. And I became a real good stock blocker. So it really helped me. So that's what we did my freshman year. I played in 5 varsity games as a true freshman at UTA, and of course the rest is history from there. But that's what I learned from wishbone because of the options and the read options and things like that. And so every now and then they throw you a pass off those options. But mainly it was a 70% run type offense versus, getting the ball down the field.
Yeah, and you're only going to see really cover 3 and cover 1.
Right.
Right. So that's what I got used to in college is, cover 3, so you can get that extra guy in the box and play zone behind it. And then a lot of cover 1. But, dude, you talk about blocking, man. You had to block.
You had to block.
The crackbacks and the stock blocking, because you never know where the ball's going to hit. You don't know if it's going to hit at the middle, around the outside. Right. You have no clue. So it's
the only thing you had to do was rely on the defensive back, and whichever way he moved, that's the way you're going to have to carry and block him. So because of the different options that you have as an offensive style offense with the wishbones.
What'd you run in high school? What kind of offense was at high school?
We were at a power eye.
Okay. Yep.
So, but I averaged 15 tackles a game. I never did come off the football field in high school. I was the extra point holders on the kicking team, and every now and then they'll give me a break on the punt return until I got knocked out one game. My college roommate from Danielfield knocked me out, so I told him to take me off the punt return. But other than that, I was always constantly on that football field in high school.
How big was Liberty-Eylau then?
We was a 3A school.
3A? That's what I figured.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was the same way. I only came off on kickoff team.
Right. Yeah,
I held the extra
you play
points.
A lot of football. Yeah.
I played my senior year. I was the quarterback. I was the defensive end. I held extra points and field goals.
Yeah.
I was on the kickoff return team.
We definitely got some similar stories. My best high school game was against Sulphur Springs.
Okay.
I had 2 interceptions, about 150-yard catching. And I got that scholarship off of Sulphur Springs. So when I drive through Sulphur Springs going to Texas-Arlington, I always smile because that was my highlight tape in high school.
Yeah. I didn't want to play DB. I wanted to play safety. They had me at corner. I was small, but they wanted me to play corner. I was like, no, I don't want to play corner.
Yeah.
Put me at safety. They were like, no, we'll put you at defensive end. And then, I was 2-year All-State defensive end though.
You had a lot of sacks or what?
Yeah, I was just, being, what was I about? My junior year, I was 5'9", 170. My senior year was about 5'10", 170. So it was one of those, I was really good with my hands. Okay. I could get around the tackles really easily. So I'd get sacks, strip sacks, chase people down from behind. Usually people would say, he's smaller, let's run at him. But I was really good in space, being able to make a guy miss and still be able to dive and make the tackle.
Right.
So I think I had around 200 tackles in 2 years. But
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was probably that. I'll never forget that one day they had me. I think I had 28 tackles for my safety position, and but I was the captain at secondary, but it really helped me. But everybody wanted me as a safety. I was a good safety. I could read the coverages and stuff. But yeah, it's really good to play as much as possible in high school because it really equips you to get your confidence up, and then it just gives you a lot of momentum going into college.
Yeah, I got a lot of toughness out of playing defensive end, and I got a lot of knowledge and understanding of the game playing quarterback. So everything that I needed to build who I was in the end of my playing career, it all came from all those little bitty times in between, right? Being on different special teams and playing these different positions really helped evolve into what I was doing and being free flowing. One of the biggest things now is, a lot of people talk about coaches. As a high school coach, their job is to win high school games and win state championships. It's not to get you to college, right? Do you ever have any conversations with kids that are in high school that are playing probably at a position in high school, but it's to better the high school team, but they have to do what they have to do for themselves to get to college?
Yeah, and that's what I try to tell young kids. I know you want to respect the coaches and everything, but you still have your life in your hands. And there are still things that you can do to position yourself to go to the next level. So that's why, I try to tell kids, if you can play another position, if you can do something on special team or anything, continue to do as much as possible. And that way on your resume and on your highlight tape, it shows that you are, you got these different types of talents and skills level. And you never know, because a lot of us start off playing out of positions, right?
Yep.
And then just see how you became a superstar wide receiver, Nick, and you played quarterback and defensive end in high school. So that's why I try to share with those kids. Just because you started off playing that position early doesn't mean that you need to continue to play in that position, because there's a lot of fun position on the football team. And when you incorporate those skills levels and I call it tag. Okay. The T stands for talent. Each one of us have a special talent A is ability. Each one of them have those special abilities. And the G, gifts. Those when you put that tag together, talent after the abilities and the gift, then you can continue to build your platform and go to the next level.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good how you put that together like that. Is putting those words together to understand what your gifts are. Prepare for that, right? If you're a high school quarterback and you're not going to play quarterback in college, or you have no desire to do it, don't wait till you get to college to start learning how to catch or run routes. Go ahead and start preparing for that on your own time, right? Get that work in extra, right? You know where you're going to play. Like, I know if I'm an undersized defensive lineman in high school and I'm going to play linebacker in college, well, I need to work on my drops. I need to work on my hips. I need to work on these things. Just because I'm playing it in high school doesn't mean that I'm going to play it in college, but I can still go ahead and work on my craft to be able to excel at that next level. Yeah. All right, here we go.
So one of the things that young people need to know is that we are tagged. So the T stands for talent, the A stands for abilities, and the G stands for gifts. And then when you put the S on it, that's how you build your tags, your talent, your ability, your gift out of your what? Strengths. So we all got some strength. So when you tagged, that means you can go to the next level almost on anything for your accomplishments and for your goals. So if you know what your tags are, I was tagged with speed. And that was one of the things that I was able to utilize almost everywhere I went as I grew and as I became a professional athlete.
You need to write a book. Just write a book on words. Just the sports dictionary. By
you know
BK.
what? You know what? I got a book, and it's a superhero book.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's called The Number 87. But I do want to write a book talking about tags and talking about scripture and talk about some things that you can build your life on. Like when I first went to college, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 talk about trusting trusting the Lord with all your heart and all your ways. Do not acknowledge him, he will direct your path. Things like that. I was one of the first scripture that I built my life on. But yeah, I do want to write. I want to write what they call not hot topics, but it'll be key words, key phrases that you can, stay motivated upon.
It makes me think back when we were kids, they used to always say, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Well, words are very hurtful and words are very powerful, right? The way that you use the words to create so much power and understanding in everything that you're doing, those words give meaning to every step of the process, right? So from you going from high school to college to the pros, from you doing everything that you've done after to helping and giving and doing these things, those words have given value to all of that. And I think that's just a powerful thing in itself.
Right. And I think if you stay positive, you have to stay positive on almost everything that you believe in. Are you gonna have some roadblocks? Are you gonna hit some potholes? Absolutely, you are. But what I love about being an athlete, Nick, and you can probably say, talk about this as well. Most of the things that have happened to us and most of the things that we have experienced have been nothing but positivity. And so that positivity have been the mainstream of us being successful.
Yep.
So when you continue to build up your mind and your body and then gain the confidence, you're unstoppable. I believe that with my heart.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Going from UTA, getting drafted by the Packers in the 10th round, when did you believe that you were going to go to the NFL or you had the chance to go to the NFL? And then what was the whole draft like?
That was considered the best draft that ever happened in the NFL, the class of '83. I broke my ankle the 10th game of the season at UTA. up at Arkansas State, Jonesboro, Arkansas. So I knew I was going to get drafted, but I didn't know what round I was going to get drafted. Back then, there was only 28 teams, 48-man rosters. And so they had 12 rounds back then. So when I got drafted, Bart Starr was the head coach at Green Bay. He called me, I never forget, about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a one-day draft. And he said, "Congratulations, Byron, you're a Green Bay Packer." I said, "Oh, man, that sounds good." Then on the backside of my I said, they got James Lawson, John Jefferson, the 2 best Pro Bowlers, wide receivers back then in '83. And I said, man, but I was happy. And then I got a chance. Philip Epps was up there, a good friend of mine. So they had a marquee group of wide receivers. So what I did was I went up there and I learned a lot from those guys. And that it helped me, it equipped me. And then when Coach Starr said, "Byron, we got to let you go," I was the very last guy they released off that team that year. Because that year the USFL had started up. I got drafted by the Denver Gold. So I got drafted by 2 teams in '83, the Green Bay Packers and the Denver Gold. And he said, "Byron, I want to give you some advice. Don't go to the USFL because a lot of guys, they'll leave and they go to the USFL." He said, "I'm going to call around because you got the talent and you got the skill set to play in the National Football League." And he gave me confirmation. And then I went from there and I was working out for all these different teams. And then I went to Houston, saw Earl Campbell, and then I went to Philadelphia. Philadelphia signed me for 4 weeks, but Parcells said, "I still want you." And then the last 8 games I signed with the Giants, and the last 4 to 5 games I had over 100 yards in each one of those games, and that's how my career got started. That's awesome. I scored my first NFL touchdown against Lester Hayes in the LA Coliseum in 1983, and then that's how I got started. But one of the things that I could say, when Coach Bart Starr told me that I had the skill set to play on the next level, that was confirmation of me, continue to put the work in.
That's just once again overcoming, right? The disappointment, the hurdles, the constantly overcoming those situations, to talking to different teams and to be in a position to really try to find your way, right? That's another similarity. I was projected 5th round pick to the Packers coming out, right? They had Donald Driver and all those guys, but didn't happen. But you go back, Alonzo Highsmith. I did a private workout with him.
Okay.
When he was with Green Bay as their regional scout. But just looking at all those things, man, it's just it's an amazing feat because people think you just show up and you make a team. Right. There's a guy, Alex Singleton, right now for the Philadelphia Eagles. Alex Singleton was cut 7 times is coming out of college. Found out he was a Canadian. Mm-hmm. His mom was born in Canada, lived there for like 2 months, then moved to the U.S. Never moved back to Canada, hadn't been back. But that was enough for him to be considered Canadian. So he went into the CFL draft, went to Canada for 2 years, I believe, 2 or 3 years, was Defensive Player of the Year 1 year. Then he got picked up by the Eagles last year, was on the PR most of the year, played at the end of the year. Now he's leading them in tackles this year. Right. It's like we don't know what our opportunities are. Mm-hmm. Right? We don't know what the opportunity is. Was there a moment that, you said Bart Starr gave you the confirmation? Right. After he said that, did you have any doubt at that moment? Was there anything like, you know what, I might be done. I'm tired of calling these teams. I'm tired of going to this workout. I'm trying to do this. Like, I see I'm better than some people, that they're still having jobs and everything that goes on in their mind. And, players that come up to you, "Hey, man, I think you should have made the team," or I think, so you get all this feedback from different people. Was there anything that ever wavered you to the point where you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me?
No, not once I got to that level and got a chance to see the talent and got a chance to compete. The training camp in Green Bay was really hard because they believed in the up and downs and things. So once I went through my first NFL training camp, I knew that I could play on that level. I just needed to find the right team that I could fit into the chemistry and fit into the, to the scheme of things. And so I never did have any lack of confidence. And so when I was in high school, my junior year, God told me I was going to play pro football, though, Nick. He told me that I was going to play pro football. It was just a matter of me finding the right team. Now, I got a story about 50+1.
Yep.
My junior year in high school, I got caught drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got kicked out of football. And so the coach said, Byron, it was 5 of us, 2 seniors and 3 juniors. I was one of the juniors. Out of all 5 people, I'm the only one told the truth. And he said, I know the other guys were drinking, so I had to run 50 miles. I had to run every mile under 8 minutes a mile, right? So from that Monday to that Friday, I had ran 25 miles.
All under 8 minutes?
All under 8 minutes. I ran 5 miles a day. The second Monday, on the 28th mile, the coach said, Byron, you didn't make that mile. I said, Coach, I made that mile. He said, you didn't make. When I ran that extra mile, that's when God told me I was going to play pro football for 12 years. So the second Friday, I finished the 50th mile. I call it 50+1. 2 weeks later, the coach came up to me. The same coach that gave me $20 for making the AB honor roll. 2 weeks later, he came up to me. He said, Byron, you made that mile. I was just going to see if you were going to quit. So I call it 50+1, Nick. And that's when I tell every kid, you're going to get tested almost every day in your life. Are you going to pass the test? So just think, God told me when I ran that extra mile that I was going to play pro football. He didn't say NFL. He said pro football for 12 years. And you notice I played NFL, CFL, and the World League. 12 seasons. And so when I went to UTA and broke my ankle, the 10th game, I knew I was still going to get drafted. Even though I just caught 26 passes, of the 26, I had 550 yards and 8 touchdowns at UTA my senior year, I still got drafted. Yeah. And that's confirmation from God. So I'm just sharing, I want to share that story with you because guess what? You know I got into the track and turf business.
Yep.
2009, Nick, I sold my high school that track. That track hadn't been touched, hadn't been renovated or nothing. Since the time I graduated from high school to 2009, I made a $50,000 commission on that track. That track paid me $50,000 30 years later.
Paid you $1,000 every mile.
Every mile. And so it came around full circle, Nick. So from the time I left high school in 79 to the time I came back in 2000 and came back and sold my track in 2009, it was so much that happened in my life, but it's also confirmation of what was told to me when I ran that 50+1 mile. Yeah.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful.
So that's why that's part of this in this book. But I always say 50+1. I always tell kids, it's always something that you can hang your hat on. And that something might be a coach they're going to share something with you, a friend they're going to share something with you. Even God giving you this platform that you can share so much with you, and people can listen to what you're saying and things and the seeds that you plant. My high school coach planted a seed in me. Coach Bart Starr planted a seed in me. Even my college coach planted a seed in me. I used to go in the locker room when I was in college, Nick, and look at this sign in the locker room. And guess what that sign said?
What was it?
It said, take what you have with what you are, make something of it, and never be satisfied. That was a sign. That was a quote from George Washington Carver. And I looked at that every time I go in the locker room. I looked at that. I never told none of my teammates or nothing. I used to always look, and I said, that sign said, take what you have with what you are, make something of it, and never be satisfied. And all you have is you. All you have is your dreams. All you have is your goals. All you have, and you never be satisfied. Just because I played in the NFL, I wasn't satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Just because what we're doing now, we're not satisfied. We still got the what? We got our grandkids, you got the kids, and you got the wife. You got so much to be proud of, but you never satisfied, Nick. You one of the greatest players to ever play up in Canada, and you're still doing what you do. You're never satisfied. You can hang your hat on that if you want to, but no, you got something else bigger. And that's why you are what you're doing what you're doing. That's why you've been so successful in your life.
I tell people all the time, I said, I've always wondered what success is. And when people ask me, do I feel successful? And I said, I'll feel successful when I'm dead because there's always going to be something to do. There's always going to be something to get better at, something to achieve, something to push me forward. Right.
Right.
So, man, that is so powerful. That whole story you just told of just hanging your hat on something that everybody just feels like, especially now, so many people just feel like it's supposed to be given to you or I deserve it. I hate the word deserve.
Right.
Everybody has good days, everybody has bad days.
Right.
Some people are good people some days, some people are bad people some days. But you can't define yourself off of one day.
Right.
You don't deserve the worst in life because you had one bad day. You don't deserve the best in life because you had a great day.
Right.
Right. So I hate the word deserve because, I mean, you just got to work.
You got to work.
And get. And what you said, like, you're enough. And what you just read, you are enough. But you have to realize you're enough. You have to realize you're equipped with everything you need to be where you want to be. That's where it makes something out of it, right? Take what you have. You're enough. Just understand what you have. You're enough.
With what you are, and
what you
are is like you could be anywhere that you want to be.
I think of David and Goliath, right? Take what you are.
Right.
You don't have to be the beast. You don't have to be the big guy. You don't have to be this.
Right.
You are enough. Now, make something out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Make your mind up.
That when you when you say the word make, that means work at it.
Yes.
And then if you committed at working at it, and then you know anything can be accomplished out of that.
Yes.
Anything.
Yes.
And what I love about never be satisfied, that's a continuation of how you built your life or built upon your life. You know, one plank at a time, one step at a time, 1 mile at a time. Those 50 miles was hard. I didn't say I didn't never want to quit. I thought about quitting so many times.
Every step.
But it was the end of the story. It was the end of those 50 miles. I know I could see windows open up, doors open up, opportunities open up. That's what I saw.
You proved something to yourself.
Now in 2017, they called me and they said, Byron, we wanted to put you in the Texas Black Hall of Fame. I went in with George Foreman, Eric Dickerson, some more guys. Just thinking about that.
That's awesome.
So when you go to Dallas, Texas, thank you. When you go to the Dallas Fair Park, and my sister called me, she said, I didn't know you was over here in the Hall of Fame. So I didn't tell nobody. So, but my point is, that will always be there. That will always be over there at Fair Park. And my granddaddy lived 1 mile from that location. And my granddaddy, through 7 different pictures, he should have been in the old Negro Hall of Fame because he was a great pitcher. But that made me think that, you know, I'm linked to my granddaddy as well. He didn't have an opportunity to play because of the racism and the things, the opportunity that, you know, back in the day, back in the 1920s or whatever. But my point is, that's for my granddad as well as for my dad. So 100%. That's what you call legacy. That's what you call something that only God could do, you know, for us putting it there, allowing me to accomplish that dream.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations on all that. But you know what? Everything that you've accomplished is a true testament to who you are as a man, more than any athletic ability, any skill set that you had. Right.
Right.
That I think that's the importance is when I talk to all these athletes and we really break down what makes a great athlete, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with skill.
Right.
Consistency, willing to work, willing to compete, willing to overcome. Those things have nothing to do with skill set.
Right.
Because you're always going to face somebody with a skill set different than yours or better than yours, and you got to figure out a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's part of what I love about being an athlete. You know, you got to be an overcomer. You really do.
Yeah. 100%. How you feel about your time in the CFL?
I loved it because I got a chance to meet people that was unique. I got a chance to meet people that didn't judge you. I got a chance to be around coaches that love you. And then it wasn't a whole lot of people on the roster, 37-man rosters. And, you got the Canadian guys that play, you got the American guys that play. It was a whole different game. The game was fast. The game was fun. The game was exciting. You never was out of a game. You played to the last play. And the rules up there was unique. You got a chance to, to run and to, it just, my phone is like crazy.
It's all good. I understand. You're busy, man. You got these people that want you and everything. Yeah, so we were talking about the CFL and the motions and just the people in the league and the 37-man rosters. Was it different coming to Canada? Like, what was the biggest difference, I should say, when you came to Canada after being in, Green Bay, New York, Philadelphia, and the NFL teams?
It was, I think some of the skill sets was really, very high quality players. It's the strategy that you have to come up with in order to win games. 18-game schedule, was unique. I just love the fast pace. It's very entertaining, and you meet some good coaches. It's a great concept. I just think the history behind the game was awesome. And, just getting a chance to play in that league in the CFL was unique. I think it's special. All the great athletes, the superstars, the Hall of Famers, you can really just take your hat off to all the things that they have accomplished up there in Canada. And I'm thankful that it gave me the opportunity to play, 8 years up there to, just to continue to have some fun. The people was really wonderful. I just, my first 2 years I was in Vancouver, and then 1 year I was in Ottawa and Saskatchewan. But, it really was, it really was great for me to experience football up there, and I cherish that. And my oldest daughter got a chance to start school up there. She loved it. It's not as prejudiced as it is in the States. So it's a whole different vibe. It's a whole different, way of life. And so I really glad I got a chance to experience that.
When's the last time you've been to Canada?
The last time had to be around 94.
Woo!
So I don't know. I talked to Don Narcisse and a couple of people up there in Vincent Donaldson. I talked to those guys. So I know, they both of the, Vince played in the NFL too. So sometimes he called me about some pinch and stuff. But it's been a while. I really want to come back.
Grey Cup in Hamilton next year. It'd be a great time to come back.
Well, I'll set a date. I'm gonna put that in the month of November to be able to go up there. June Jones was up there. June coached me.
Yep, in Hamilton.
In June, I have his cell number. I talk to him, keep up with him all the time. But so I still have some guys and some people up there I share with. But I'm glad I did get in touch with you, and you and I are heavily connected on some things. But I take my hat off to Canada. I love Canada.
Yeah, I love it too. I always go back and forth. I remember before I got on the plane ride to come here, I was like, what if I really love it and I never go home? And it was always the thing, because like as soon as the season was over, about a week later, I was going home. So I was always going back home. So it was something that I have loved. Canada, it's been truly special to be here. The people are amazing. The people in the U.S. are amazing too, in their own special way. Being from small town Texas and living in Fort Worth, and I always enjoy being able to get back, and I look forward to seeing what we can do together in the future, in the near future, in everything that we're doing. Just to wrap this up, just thinking about everything that we've talked about, I feel like this has been so beneficial to a lot of the younger generation, even the older generation, but the younger generation. I feel like they should be able to grasp so much of this conversation to get the most out of their lives, right? I think people
Right.
focus on what they have or what they don't have instead of focusing on where they are and where they want to go.
Right.
And I think if they read, and it's all about perspective, right? Your perspective changes. Like you said earlier, your perspective of pro athletes was this, but then when you got to compete against them and see them on a daily basis, it changed your perspective.
Right.
Because now I'm just as good as they are. Before you get there, you look at the pros and be like, man, this dude's awesome, this dude's this. But then when you get there on the same level as them, you're like, I'm on the same level.
Right.
Right. So the
Right.
perspective changes. And I think that's where we are in life through COVID, through everything else that's going on right now. We see suicide rates going up. We see kids in that are failing miserably and have a system that's set up that's not for them all the time. With everything going on with missing school, having online schools, can you just leave us with some words that can encourage them and help them make it through this to what they're supposed to be and what the future holds for them?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me today.
Appreciate it.
You have a great platform. One of the things that I always believed in is I believe in dreams, and dreams do come true. You know, if you get around people like Nick and I, and we share some of our testimonies, and that's what we build our life on is the small wins. You know, going out there every day and having something that you build your life around that's positive. And I always have tried to eliminate negativity in people. I never forget this. I went back to my hometown, and first thing a guy would say, "Oh, I saw you drop that ball against the Dallas Cowboys." And guess what? I kind of eased away, didn't say nothing negative to that person, but just realized that that person wasn't for me.
Yep.
Because it's more, life is more about than dropping one ball. It's more about catching five balls, which I did. So you have to, once you get to the point in life where you start having the right people that pour into you and reveal to you your gifts and the things that you have to offer in society, because I believe everybody got some greatness inside of them. And
100%.
that's what you build your life on. You build your life on one step at a time, one day at a time, 1 month at a time. And if you continue to see progress during that time, then you're going to be successful. And that's what I like about these platforms and getting ready to, to go out and have a game plan. I call it a plan of action. And that's what you have to do. You have to continue to write down your goals, continue to, accomplish those goals and achieve those goals. And next thing you know, you're gonna be where you want to be, and you're gonna be able to start a family and build a career. And those are the things that's most important. So continue to stay positive, continue to stay active, and the smallest win and the small achievements of what you're doing and the steps that you take. That's what you want to continue to stay focused on.
Man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for coming on. And your words have meant so much. Like I've learned from this, and I know so many people will. And a wise man once said, "You shouldn't have big dreams without expecting big hurdles."
Exactly.
Right. So your dreams are gonna be the hurdles are gonna be the same size of your dreams, and you're gonna have to overcome a lot to get to them. But it's worth it. Just like every step, you're thinking, "Man, why am I running these miles?" But it was worth it.
It
You
was
got
worth
so
it.
much more out of it than the initial, right? You took it as a punishment, but it became a benefit and something that you could really you understood where you stood. And man, this has been one of the most powerful podcasts I've done. That I think that just the words, just thinking about the words and the words you use, the positivity, and everything that you set your life on, man. I tell you what, your kids, your wife, your grandkids, and everybody you come in contact with, myself is we're all lucky and very beneficial to be able to have known you and know you. So I thank you.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you. Same here, man. It's always good to be around greatness, and you one of those great people as well. And I just appreciate the platform that you have, and nothing but success. And I know you're gonna continue that. So it was a pleasure for me to be a part of your podcast.
Thank you. And this is another episode of the Lulu Logic Podcast, and we out.